I was going to show you how fast I've gotten at this. Look, I'm going through it. I'm going to start Kaylee's now. I haven't looked at Kaylee's yet. So I get to 4. This is how I make my slides to do all this. I bet you I'm, excuse me, at the end of this, I'll be the world record PowerPoint slide maker. I'll go to 6, bring it over, bring it up. 7. So this is it. And I go over here. I've already pre-copied these things. Okay, so that's 7. Upload 4. This is 8 and 9. Insert, upload. I go to 5. I got 10, 11. Okay, there's 3 here. So what I'll do is I'll copy, paste, paste. And then I go to 1. And I'll crop it off. Bring it over. Go to 2. Crop it down. I'll show you how the how I make the food here. All right, and then I go to the 3rd one and I'll crop it off, bring it up. So at first it took me forever to get through the first one, but now that I've done it enough times, I get really efficient at this stuff. 7, we got 1, 2, 3. So copy, paste, paste, crop, bring it over, crop. This may be really boring, but this is what I do all night and day on this stuff. Crop. Right, go to 16. This is this one. Okay, that's 1 wound. Uh-oh, I'm running out of boxes here. 1, 2, 3. If I don't create blank boxes, it'll make me, oh crap. It'll make me clear out stuff on each box first. So I make a bunch of blank boxes. Dang it, where was I? Okay, insert. I think I got through 7. That was 8. So this is 9. So that was 22. Yeah, 23, 24. That's just 1. Insert 10. 3 to 4. That's just 1. Insert 11. There's 2. So I copy, paste, and then crop. And then crop, bring it up, go down, and insert 7, 8. I think I was right. I think I was on 11, so this would be 12. That's 8, so that's 6, 7, 8, 8, and 9. So there's 2 of these. Paste, and then I'll crop. Bring it over, crop. That, and then insert. All right, where was I at? I was on that 12, I think. Stabbing incised wounds. Yeah, I believe this is right. So 1, 2, 3. So I got to copy, paste, paste. Running out of boxes again. Crop. Well, so people think POV doesn't work. Doesn't work hard on this stuff. I don't know that anybody thinks that, actually. I just picture people thinking that. They have no idea how long it takes to go through this stuff to find the truth. Insert. Okay, then this is all the asphyxial injuries. I have to do that all separate. So when I go back up here to the first one, incised wounds of the head, neck, and scalp, stabbing incised wounds. So then I have to, let's see, we'll go over here and we'll borrow from these. We'll borrow a clock. No, I might not need a clock on that one, but I'm going to go ahead and get it over here, and then we'll borrow one of these. And I may need to borrow on the parietal scalp my little cheat sheet here. Paste. All right. Oh, and I need a serrated edge. Where's my serrated edge? Here we go. Knife with serrades. Okay. All right, so that's all that. Now this is going to be the frontal, on the right frontal scalp. Doesn't say parietal scalp, it just says scalp. It's posterior, immediately across the midline from the hairline. So we're going to use image. Well, it's going to be this one here, and then I think I pointed actually this way from the victim's perspective. So on the frontal scalp, extending posteriorly, you see posterior, just to remind me, is to the back of the head, immediately goes to the middle, across the midline from the hairline. So frontal scalp, posteriorly and medially across the midline right here. So this should be right in this area. 2.5 by 3/4 inch linear incised wound with undermining. Undermining means it laps over, extending posteriorly, back of the head, and laterally. Laterally means left to right. The anterolateral end is branched and shows regular red abrasions, as well as parallel linear red abrasions extending inferiorly from the end of this wound. It's a hemorrhagic. Skull shows triangular defect. I need to put a green under the triangular. Anytime there's a triangle or a square defect, I'm going to go back and study those after I finish everything. Depth is 1 inch. Front to back, slightly left to right. Okay, so on the front parietal scalp, extending posteriorly and medially across the midline from the hairline. So it's going to be an incised wound like this. Make it red on the frontal scalp, extending posteriorly to the back of the head. So it's going to be in this orientation likely, and medially across the midline. So, okay, so it's extending posteriorly and medially. So it's going actually in this direction. 2.5 by 3/4 inch linear incised wound with undermining, extending posteriorly and laterally. The anterior lateral end is branched and shows irregular red abrasions. So this end is branched and shows red abrasions. I have to look. I haven't heard the branched yet. That's something new. So I'll have to look that up. Triangular defect. Okay, so it really doesn't have an orientation. So let's see, where's a stab wound? Incise wound, incise wound, incise wound, incise wound, incise wound, incise wound, incise wounds, incised. Inside. Does Kaylee even have a stab wound? Here's a stab wound. Okay. Right there. Okay. And it doesn't say anything about abraded edges. So we'll move that one down. And there's no depth, so that won't come into play. So we are looking at this, and it's got a triangular defect. Okay, the moderate associated subclavian subclavial hemorrhage. The outer table of the skull shows a 1/8 by 3/16 roughly triangular defect. So the outer table of the skull. So, okay, so I'm not going to be able to determine that right now, but what is a branched end? Where did I see that? Okay, the anterolateral end is branched and shows regular red abrasions. So let's go over here to our grok. What is a branched end in an incised wound? See what it has to say. Sometimes it'll give you a good answer and explain it to you, and sometimes you have to triple verify it. Usually when it's something simple, it'll give it to you. A branched end, also called bifurcated end or forked end, means that one end of the cut splits into two or more directions, forming a Y or V shape or fork-like appearance. Okay. What caused it? The blade changed directions during the cuts. Most common, the knife was twisted or rocked. Skin was stretched or folded at the moment the blade exited, which that's a good area for skin to stretch. Sometimes caused by a partially dull or damaged blade. Indicates movement during the injury. Okay, a linear incised wound on the ventral left forearm with a branched end at the medial aspect. This tells investigators the cut started cleanly but forked at the end because the blade twisted or the arm moved. Okay, no, I don't want you to generate an image. So that's kind of what I was thinking anyway. Which means the end of it branched out a little bit. And it's the antilateral end, anterior front. So it means the end of it just kind of forked out. Let's see. Can I make that? I have to usually make those bigger than they are just to get them to. There we go. So the end of it just kind of forked out like that. All right, so there's the first one. So it's a cut on top of the head, which I picture this stuff first, like if Kaylee's laying in the bed, she's getting cuts on top of her head, just like Maddie had a couple of them on top of her head, which means that she would have had to lift her head up and down to receive those. But we know that Kaylee did not start in that bed, though. Okay, number 2 is on the right superior parietal scalp. So we're going to bring down our cheat sheet. Our diagram here. So right superior parietal scalp. Superior goes to the top. This is the right parietal scalp. Let's be closer to the front here, I think, with the scalp is approximately 1/2 by 1/16 linear incised wounds with discontinuous 1/16 red marginal abrasion and undermining extending laterally. Because all right, so discontinuous red marginal abrasions, that is a clear indication of a serrated edge. So we'll take the serrades, point to them, and we'll go ahead and underline that, make it green. Abundant associated subscapular and subgalileal hemorrhage. The wound tract travels from front to back, slightly left to right and downward to a depth of 3/8 of an inch. So right parietal scalp is a linear incise wound. Doesn't really give us a good idea on some of these incise wounds what the direction is. So we'll make an incise wound. The wound travels front to back, slightly left to right and downward. See, it doesn't really give us an orientation on this. So front to back, slightly left to right and downward. It's probably going to be something like this. On the right, superior parietal scalp, which is close to the center of the head. 3/8 of an inch. So another slash there. Let's see what we got. On the left, frontal parietal scalp. J-shaped incise wound. Oh, that's strange. It actually says a J-shaped incise wound. Goodness. Goodness. All right. And this is the frontal parietal scalp. See, I get confused. I know the frontal bone is not a parietal bone. So I can go to my images. All right, so this is the coolest little program ever because it'll go through, look, it'll tell you your temporal bone, parietal bone. See, the front bone is a frontal bone. These are parietals, so when it says frontal parietal, I don't know if they're talking about the frontal bone or the parietal bone. So it gets kind of confusing. So where exactly is the frontal, I forgot how to spell parietal bone. That's not how you spell it. Forgot how to spell. Where the frontal and the parietal bones meet. So right here. All right, so the left over here, frontal parietal bone, 1 3/4 1/16 J-shaped incise wound. So it's not curved linear. All right, there's a moderate associate subscapular. The outer table of the skull shows a superficial curved linear 3/4 inch incise defect. So that means it's one continuous cut. I'll just do it like this. Everybody will see that and goes, Jack, it's Jack. So, well, then Jack should have been arrested for sure if he left his initial in the victim. It wouldn't be too hard to figure it out, I don't think. All right, so left frontal parietal scalp. It's right where they meet. And it travels front to back, slightly left. So front to back, slightly left. So there we have it. 1 3/4 by 1/16 shape with a 1/16 by 1/4 inch marginal abrasion. It is kind of crazy. It's a I hadn't seen anything in a J shape, so let's just ask Grok if that has any meaning. What does a J, let's see, J shaped incised wound described by pathologist mean? See what it says. When a pathologist describes a wound as J-shaped, it means the wound on the skin has the shape of the letter J or a backwards J. It means that's the shape of the letter J. Starts relatively straight or curved cut. One end it's hooked or curved tail, making it look like a J. The blade did not cut in a simple straight line. The knife changed direction during the slashing motion. Common mechanisms. Attacker made a slash, then hooked or twisted the blade at the end. The victim moved or turned. The blade was partially withdrawn, then pulled in a different direction. Suggests a dynamic struggle or movement during the attack. Helps determine direction of the slash. Common on the scalp, neck, arms, and shoulders. So it's common. Simple slash, gentle curve, wavy S shape, J shape, straight cut with a distinct hook at the end. Okay, so it's an actual term. This pattern often seen in defensive wounds. Someone's trying to pull away during a slash. So straight cut with a distinct hook at the end. Serpentine is like a snake. Gentle curve. Simple slash is a straight. So it's a... Is this a set term used by a pathologist? Or does this indicate the perp literally cut a J in the head? A J-shaped is a standard descriptive term. Not literal evidence perpetrator intentionally tried to cut a J. Okay, so hooked, L, Y, etc. Okay. So this is not a intentional J. Yeah, Pavarotti is Jack. All right, let's see. This will help remind me. All right, so that's how I basically go through and do this stuff. So let me know your thoughts, members. Y'all have a great day.